In a sleepy southern town, where time moves slowly and justice even slower, the courtroom buzzed with a tension that you could feel deep in your chest. Wooden benches groaned under the weight of bodies, most of them white, most of them certain they already knew how this story would end. At the center of it all stood a 17-year-old boy named Jalen Brooks. He was slim, dark-skinned, and wore a borrowed second-hand suit that didn't quite fit, the kind you save for funerals, not trials. Jalen had no lawyer, no family in the courtroom, no money, and no one who believed in him. But he had something that no one else in that building could see: conviction. As he laid a worn folder filled with handwritten notes on the defendant's table, his hands trembled slightly, but his gaze held firm. He had already been judged by the world long before stepping into this room, and he was used to standing alone. Across the courtroom, the prosecutor, Harrison McCoy, sat smugly, adjusting his expensive suit and smirking as if this were already wrapped up. To him, this wasn't a trial. It was a formality, and presiding over it all was Judge Marion Whitmore, late 50s, face carved by decades of authority. Her eyes narrowed as she addressed the young defendant. "Mr. Brooks, you've chosen to represent yourself. You understand you're being charged with grand theft auto and resisting arrest. Do you really think you're qualified to stand before this court?" There were chuckles in the gallery. McCoy smirked, but Jalen rose slowly, cleared his throat, and replied, "No, Your Honor. I'm not qualified, but I am innocent, and that's why I'm here." The room quieted. Whitmore raised an eyebrow. The smirks dimmed. What no one yet understood was that this young man they had all dismissed was about to upend everything they thought they knew. The first witness was Officer Daniel Croft, a middle-aged man with a military buzz cut and a voice like gravel. He testified that he saw Jalen attempting to hotwire a black sedan. He said Jalen fled when he identified himself as law enforcement. It sounded believable, neat, clean, but Jalen, calm and composed, stood and approached. "Officer Croft, you said you observed me inside the car, fumbling with wires. From how far?" "About 20 feet. At night?" "Yes." "Was the window rolled down?" "No. Closed." Jalen nodded. "So from 20 feet away, in the dark through a closed window, you could see me, a black teenager in a dark hoodie, fumbling with wires?" A murmur spread through the room. Jalen calmly placed a laminated photo of the car in front of Croft. "Please point to where the ignition wires are." Croft hesitated, then pointed to a spot deep behind the steering column. Jalen turned to the jury. "The ignition wires are deep inside, not visible from outside. Yet Officer Croft claims he saw me tampering with them in the dark from 20 feet away." The courtroom leaned in. McCoy objected. "Speculation." Judge Whitmore overruled him. "Continue, Mr. Brooks." The mood shifted. People weren't just hearing Jalen now. They were listening. Next came Cynthia Langford, the owner of the black sedan. She testified she had parked the car outside her home and that it had gone missing overnight. Later, police found it with Jalen inside. Jalen stood. "Did you see the car being taken?" "No, I was asleep." "Were the windows broken?" "No." "Any signs of forced entry?" "None." "Who has access to your car keys?" A slight pause. "Just me and my husband." Jalen turned to the judge. "Your Honor, I request to call Mr. Jonathan Langford to the stand." McCoy protested. This witness wasn't listed. Jalen remained calm. The truth doesn't always arrive on schedule. Whitmore considered, then nodded. Jonathan Langford, tall and visibly uncomfortable, admitted under oath that he had lent the car to his nephew, Terrence, the night it went missing. Audible gasps followed. Cynthia's face turned red. Jalen continued, never raising his voice. "So, the car wasn't stolen. It was loaned to a family member, and no one told the police." Jonathan looked down. "I didn't think it was important." Jalen faced the jury. "The state's case is built on a crime that never happened. No theft, no intent, just silence." McCoy fumed. "He was still found in the vehicle without permission." Jalen countered. "If the car wasn't stolen, how could I be guilty of stealing it?" The courtroom shifted again. Then came Terrence Langford. Nervous, barely an adult. He admitted that he had used the car for a date, then parked it a few blocks away and forgot to tell anyone. He was scared, ashamed. Jalen let the silence settle before asking, "If the car wasn't stolen, why was I arrested?" He requested a video. Not police footage, but a phone recording taken by his friend Darius. It showed Jalen approaching the car, cautiously. The door slightly ajar. He leaned in. No sudden moves. Then, from the shadows, a man in plain clothes rushed him, yelling. "Nobody. No ID." Jalen ran. "I didn't resist arrest," Jalen said. "I feared for my life. I saw no badge. Just aggression." The courtroom froze. At the back, his mother sat, hands folded, eyes wide with emotion. She had begged him not to do this. She had buried a husband who tried to fight this system. But now she saw her son, calm, determined, speaking truth without bitterness. A tear slid down her cheek. Jalen approached the bench once more, pulling out a folded letter. "This letter was from my father, written before he died in prison." He read, "If one day you understand the law, use it not to get ahead, but to lift someone else, even if that someone is you." He looked at the jury. "I didn't come here to win. I came here to be seen, not as a defendant, but as a son who didn't steal a car, but inherited a burden." A juror lowered her eyes. Another leaned forward. "My mom warned me not to fight, said they wouldn't let me win. But I had to speak because my father never got that chance." He told his story, walking home from work, seeing a car parked oddly, glancing inside. Then the attack. No uniform. No words. Just fear. Generational fear. Instinctual survival. "I didn't run from justice. I ran from danger. Because I didn't know if I'd survive staying." He explained how no one told him what he was being arrested for. "No questions. No explanations. I know what they saw. A black teen with no lawyer, no money. Must be guilty. But I was just walking home." He didn't cry. He didn't beg. He just laid out the truth. "If I don't say this, I become part of the silence that took my father." The courtroom didn't move. Not from discomfort, but reverence. When he finished, he looked at the judge. "I don't have a law degree, or a suit that fits, but I have the truth. And a letter from a man who died waiting for justice." Judge Whitmore stared at him, her pen still. For the first time, she saw not a case, but a child standing where no child should be. "Mr. Brooks," she said quietly, "you didn't just defend yourself. You made us think harder. You should go to law school, not to win arguments, but to change things." Jalen nodded. "No es might." Just quiet acknowledgement. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they returned, the foreman read, "On the charge of grand theft auto, we find the defendant not guilty. On the charge of resisting arrest, not guilty." Jalen didn't react immediately. Then his mother embraced him from behind. Her voice trembled. "Your father would be proud. So proud." As the courtroom emptied, Terrence approached. "I'm sorry," he said. Jalen replied, "It's okay. We all learn at our own pace." Outside, the sky was golden. Darius waited, phone in hand. He recorded as Jalen stepped into the light. "I'm going to law school," Jalen said. "And one day, no one will be silenced in court like my father was." Then he walked down the courthouse steps, not as a boy on trial, but as a voice, and voices like his don't fade. They echo.